Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
This episode is brought to you by Hostfully, a company that helps you make beautiful guidebooks for your listing. Make your own at hostfully.com/pad. And as a special for Get Paid for Your Pad listeners, you'll get a free guidebook consultation after you make your guidebook. Welcome to episode number 177 of Get Paid for Your Pad. Today I have a very interesting guest. His name is Conway, and he's the CEO and co-founder of Pillow, a short-term rental management company, and I believe one of the first startups in the Airbnb space. Is that right, Son?
In the ecosystem, I think we were one of the first. Like previously, had a name of Airbnb, which it kind of made us cringe early on, and then we changed it over to Pillow, which we've been with for about 3 years. So it's been 4 years in the running and a lot of fun.
So I'm curious to hear, how did you come up with the idea to start this company?
Yeah, Jasper. Wait, hey, first of all, I'm excited to be on here. So thank you so much for the invite and what you've done with this show. It's incredible. You're 177, and I'm excited to be like part of that jingle that you have because it stays in your mind. So
I know that.
Everything you've built in like your subscriber list, and it's so needed and offers a lot of value. But back to your question. How we got started was basically I've had a huge passion for traveling. I was on semester at sea early on it was my semester abroad in college, and it gave me the travel bug. And so after selling our past company, Note Hall, I took my backpack and started traveling around the world within Airbnbs. And I found that I am personally like my best self when I'm traveling, when I'm in these several countries in a very like organic, raw environment where I don't know my surroundings. I don't know what's up for the day. And I'm interacting with these cultures that, normally I just, see on TV or in the news or wherever. And being able to interact with them, I think I'm just the best human being when I'm traveling. So I think I found that more and more people were using Airbnb, and I wanted to. The only reason that I wasn't Airbnb, it was because the work associated with it, the hosting work. So I wanted to enable that and allow anyone to actually earn income from their place while they're gone so they could travel more.
Awesome. And you started in, what was it, 2014?
Yeah. It's really, summer 2013 is when we really started. Just our first line of code was September 2013, and then big launch 2014.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And which cities are you currently available in?
Oh, wow. So I should know this right off the bat, but Seattle, San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego, Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Denver, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Chandler, Flagstaff. Yeah, there's quite a few now. So
you guys basically started in San Francisco and then expanded throughout California, and now some other places in sort of like the west/Midwest South.
Yeah, you could think of us as like the in and out expansion plan right now. We just kind of started California and then moving eastward.
Right. And
yeah,
you're doing it in the opposite direction of the settlers a few hundred years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the main thing I wanted to talk about with you is actually the recent product that you've launched. It's called Pillow Residential. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because everybody is aware of the recent trend that's been going on in the short-term rental market, where there's more regulations, a lot of apartment buildings. The owners are getting, and the managers are getting more aware of, what short-term rental is, and a lot of people, have been renting out their places, whether it's against their HOA or against the terms of their lease, and they're getting caught, they're getting kicked out, leads to all sorts of problems. And and I think you recognized this issue, and you came up with a solution. So I'd love to dive into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there's a few triggers that actually made us, fully focus on Pillow Residential. But one was a few of our investors. They invested in us because basically they said this is inevitable. Airbnb is a wave of technology that we need to embrace, but there needs to be structure around it in order for our residents to be allowed to do this. And so that got us listening, and we really tried to understand what they would need in order to adapt this. At the same time, we're at this 8-year cycle on the residential side or the real estate side where rental prices are higher than ever. I remember moving to San Francisco. I had to split a 1-bedroom with my brother because I was bootstrapping our first startup, and I was paying $875 for my room. That same place is probably going for more like $3,500 now, and I wouldn't be able to afford it. So the way to subsidize this, or actually allow people to earn income while they're gone on average 30 to 40 days a year, is to allow them to Airbnb. But as you said, it's a violation of their HOA or their lease. So there needed to be a platform in place that allowed you to easily host as well as allow the landlord to feel comfortable with this. And so, yeah, that's what we put in place, and we're really excited to expand upon it. And it, works with city regulations, which is, first and foremost.
So how do you convince landlords and apartment buildings to allow their residents to do Airbnb?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's, a few mechanisms, but more so is there's a lot that are more progressive thinkers, and they're coming to us and saying, wow, yes, this is an issue. This is something that my property managers spend hours and hours with every single month. They're trying to police it. They're sending eviction notices out, and it's the Wild West, and it's already happening in their communities. So instead of looking at it as something that's like ruining the community, like they actually trying to flip it around and look at it as something that could attract residents to their communities, and help them earn extra income on their rent. So being able to show them that Airbnb's already, or short-term rentals are already happening within their residents, showing them they don't really have all that much control over it. So they want some insight and transparency into who's coming when. And then secondly, looking at it as a way to increase the applicant pool, increase occupancy, as well as make a cut from the profits when guests do stay. So they do get some profit sharing involved.
Right, because I imagine there must be a lot of buildings where they have a lot of vacant apartments. And so you're saying, if you offer people the ability to rent out their units, for example, when they go on holiday or when they're out of town traveling, then that would be a way to entice people to, to sign up for these apartments.
Exactly. What we're seeing in San Francisco is a lot of these residents are spending anywhere from 35 to 45% of their net income, what their income in a given month on rent, which they're at their place 10 hours a day. And that's just an absurd amount of money to be spending on there when you're out, 30, 40 days a year. So if you can actually, earn income back or subsidize your rent by 15, maybe even 20% a given year by renting it while it's empty. Yeah, that's our goal.
So just to be clear, it's not meant as a tool to rent out full time on Airbnb.
So within the cities where that's allowed, where the regulations allow for that, where you can rent out vacant units, whether it's for a short term or 30-day rentals, yes, we're having the multifamily owners actually utilize their spaces during those times, but at the same time allowing their long-term residents to also utilize their vacant spaces while they're traveling or on business or gone from school.
Right. Can you explain a little bit about how the product actually works? Like how do people can sign up and what are the details?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right now we'll run a opportunity assessment for our owners, being able to see like what is the short-term rental activity within the apartment building as well as around it. And then from there, they can get a good sense of what they would earn from the profit sharing, how desirable it is, this amenity within their area. And from there, they sign up a form, include pictures. We create a landing page for their residents. They give us their residents' emails. We let them know that this new amenity exists, and then they can sign in with their short-term rental listing accounts. And from there, we can monitor it. And then the property managers get full visibility into the guests, which vendors are coming in at any given time, and then the profits that they also earn when the guest leaves. So it's a fairly quick process. It really takes a 1 hour onboarding for the property managers, so they're fully knowledgeable if new residents come in. But yeah, it's fairly quick and simple.
And how's it been going so far? Did you see a lot of demand?
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's. I didn't expect how many signups we would. Yeah, since we released our funding and really announced it under Pillow. Yeah, I've had a mass amount. We've had 110 signups with over 60,000 units. So we really can't keep up with right now we're just signing up, quite a few people and trying to get them on the onboarding schedule. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of demand.
Right. And when you say signing up, so basically what you do is you find the people that run these buildings, the managers, the owners of these big apartment buildings. Mm-hmm. You sign those people up, and then they let their residents know, or they give you the contact details of the residents, and then you approach the residents, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the owners can actually, if they have, let's say, 5% vacancy in a 300-unit building, they have 15 of those units, they can maybe take 3 to 4 or 5, depending on the city regulations, to turn those into furnished units, whether corporate or even short-term. And then they also allow this as an amenity for their residents, similar to like a gym or a pool, or offering, allowing pets in the place. They now offer this as a new amenity that they can advertise on different things like apartments.com or Craigslist to draw new residents in.
Right. And you guys raised a pretty substantial amount of money, $13.5 million. I think in the Airbnb ecosystem, that's the largest amount of money that I have seen, other than Airbnb itself.
Yeah, they've kind of dwarfed us, but yeah, I mean, hey, it's an incredible amount of money, but we're putting it to use to expand. But Airbnb has shown that this industry is not going anywhere. We're changing the way people are living, so I expect to see a lot more, funding rounds, and even heard of a lot larger funding rounds, within the ecosystem currently happening. So, hang on. We're going to see a lot more of this.
All right, sweet. I noticed that one of your investors, Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a pretty interesting guy. Do you know him personally, or?
Yeah, I know Gary. We've met a couple times, so it's not too much. But his enthusiasm, that energy that you see on the camera. I mean, when you meet him in person, it's there, just as high, if not more. And he's just super passionate and incredibly authentic, and just wants to help. So, yeah, he's a powerhouse.
Host, I can't emphasize how important it is to share recommendations of things to do or eat near your listing beforehand. Your guests won't have to go through TripAdvisor, Foursquare, or Yelp. They won't have to scratch their head and think about possible places right in the moment. I've been using Hostfully to create an online and printable guidebook to show my guests my favorite coffee places in Amsterdam. They use my recommendations, and I'm getting fewer questions from my guests as a result. I've also included screenshots of my guidebook on my Airbnb listing as a way to differentiate my listing from others. So make your own guidebook at hostfully.com/pad. Awesome. So, obviously you've been helping Airbnb hosts manage their units for about 3 or 4 years now. So, you're very familiar with the different challenges when it comes to managing your Airbnb unit. What would you say is the biggest challenges that you see, or biggest challenges that Airbnb hosts have when they, in managing their units? Yeah.
So, I think anyone that says that managing, Airbnb is easy, or scaling one of these companies is, has been easy, is, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. So it's challenging, and it's regardless of what space you're in, whether even it's 30-day rentals. But I think one of the biggest things is we're in the hospitality industry. And so you're going to see a different range we created 200 SOPs. That means standard operating procedures. even though 80% of those fall into 40 SOPs, so the whole 80-20 rule, 80% of those fall in the top 20% of the issues. Like you have just all these nuanced cases that happen in this situation, this situation, this situation, you have to treat differently. Or you're trying to standardize as much as possible. And I think that's it's like death by a thousand cuts. So being able to create as much standardization while also having that personalization is, I think, one of the biggest challenges. Yeah, we all have in the industry and the ecosystem. And so we've done our best to, create the standards that guests as well as hosts like, and create a great stay overall.
Now, the ecosystem has been exploding recently. I remember in 2014 when I started this podcast, I'd heard of you guys, and then I think Beyond Pricing was the next one I heard of. And those are pretty much the only ones, I think.
Oh man, we go back. That's crazy. Yeah, I remember like the Beyond Stays and the Beyond Pricing, and then Everbooked, and then it's been fun.
Exactly, but I mean, if you look at the ecosystem now, I mean, I get emails now almost every single day of a new product, a new service, a new startup that wants to partner and cooperate. And I think there's literally like hundreds and hundreds, and not even to mention all the short-term vacation rental management companies that have popped up, and some of them don't even have websites. Some of them, some of them are just hosts who are managing like 10, 15 units for friends and stuff. What are your thoughts on the ecosystem and all the different startups that are there? Do you expect this to keep growing, or do you think that a lot of these startups will, they will eventually, a lot of them will disappear, and there will be like a few bigger ones that will cover all the different aspects of Airbnb hosting?
This ecosystem is going to thrive. Airbnb is changing the way people think about living, rentals, and the way they live. Like the digital nomad life is something that's wanted by many millennials, and now this living platform, is enabling it. So I think there's going to be an incredible demand for. Some people are going to want the more like standardized hospitality experience, big company that, manages thousands and thousands of listings. And that personalization, that one host that has 10 to 15 listings is always going to be in demand as well, because you're going to want that personal touch. So it's in an individual's touch. So I think I think you're going to have a wide range of businesses that can definitely play in this industry. And I think we're at the very early stages, and someone that's entering, could flourish into a host with hundreds of properties very easily. There's lots and lots of room to grow.
Do you use any of the other tools that are out there in managing your clients' Airbnb units?
We have a lot of like digital visualization tools. We have Zendesk. We use a lot of the things within the tech industry, a lot of tools within the tech industry. As far as the hosting side of things, we've built our internal tools. We've tried to listen to our customers, understand what they want, and build it personalized for them. So we've partnered with Everbooked in the past, Everbooked. So they've been really resourceful on the metrics side as well as like the pricing side.
Sweet. I was recently in New York, and I had a talk with Deanna Ting, who's a reporter for Skift, and she wrote a very long, extensive article about when Airbnb is going to IPO and if it's a good idea for Airbnb to IPO. And what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are like, why is there such big talk about it? They have a valuation. They're private. They're a private company. Like, what's going to change when they IPO? I guess they're right down the street, and yes, it's going to create rumbles in the industry. But we already have HomeAway, which was acquired by Expedia, that is highly valued. They just took down a 17-story building in Austin for 2,000 folks. Like, this space is growing. So I don't know if it's going to change the ecosystem or the landscape all that much by Airbnb going public. So I'm fine either way.
All right, let's talk about some of those other platforms, because when you manage somebody's home, you don't just use Airbnb, right? You use the other platforms too.
Correct.
So what do you feel about the different platforms that are out there? Do you see all those platforms still exist in, let's say, like 5 years from now? Or do you think there will be some, there'll be like just a 1 or 2 or 3 that will dominate the market?
I think there's going to be some consolidation. If you look at like Expedia, Priceline, and what they've done in the market by like acquiring Orbitz and Kayak and going that route, like they've shown that consolidation makes a lot of sense in the industry. At the same time, I think you will see the Booking.com, Expedia, and Airbnb, pretty much are the ones that thrive. I think there's opportunity for places like Tripping, which are the meta search side of things. So I think there's opportunities for all, and they can cater to different types of personas or customers.
Right, and you also see recently you've seen a number of smaller platforms out there that cater to very specific niches, like for example Inclusive, and then there's Mr. B&B.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those little ones that cater to the niches?
I'm not as we'd love to plug up to each and every one of them. I think it's just the dev work associated with it. So as long as they can create an API to tag it or hook into a multi-channel listing platform, it'll make it a lot easier. But I think if they cater to a certain niche and they can acquire their customers at a reasonable price and get the LTVs, it makes for a good business.
Awesome. So could you, for the people out there who are managing their listings in the cities in California, Denver, etc., where you are available, like how can people get involved with Pillow?
Yeah, you're asking from the resident side?
Yeah. I mean the hosts, the Airbnb hosts.
Yeah, the Airbnb hosts. So go to Pillow, pillow.com. You can sign up as a building owner. You can sign up and just go through the demo process, and we'll see if your building makes sense. At the same time, as a resident, we'll soon actually have a feature where you can look for buildings that do offer this amenity. So that'll be coming soon. But in the meantime, just look for. You can even email info@pillow.com if you want to understand our buildings in your area that do offer this as an amenity.
That would be an interesting feature, because I'm sure there's people out there who they want to do Airbnb, but they might not be able to do it because of the building that they live in. So if you have a list of buildings and you say, hey, if you rent a place here, then you'll be able to do Airbnb up to like whatever, like 30 days or 60 days or whatever it may be. Then that'd be very useful.
Yeah, I think my product folks are going to be kind of upset that I just dropped that. But yeah, it's a feature that's coming out pretty soon, so we're excited about that. And anyone that, hey, I'm looking for the apartment that allows me to subsidize rent in this city, then they can come to Pillow and search for that.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited about this this feature that you've implemented, because I think that's one of the things that people are struggling with most is this very topic. So it'd be very interesting to see if it's going to take off and the extent to which. And let's keep in touch. And thank you so much for coming on and being on the show. Definitely appreciate
177 episodes.
177. Yeah.
Can we celebrate over beers after 200?
Absolutely.
All right,
absolutely. I'll definitely be in San Francisco at some point. So look forward to hanging out again. We hung out a bit at the Airbnb Open in 2016. Hopefully there'll be another Airbnb in 2018. Do you have any thoughts on where it's going to be?
Yeah, so they're skipping this year, right?
They are, yeah.
I don't know. It's I think maybe Austin. Oh no, Austin doesn't like Airbnb, huh? Somewhere central.
Somewhere central would be good.
Yeah, well, I'll get back to you on that one.
Maybe New York would be a good option.
Yeah, New York would. Hey, that would be cool. Or DC.
All right, cool, Sean. All right, thanks for coming on to the show, and for all the listeners out there, thanks for listening. And there'll be another episode on Friday, so see you then.
Get paid for your pad. Get paid for your pad.